Hey guys, this is Ash, and you're watching WriterGAsh. It's day 6 of the reading rush, and today I have done nothing. I finished reading It's Such a Fun Age last night, right before I went to sleep. It was an interesting book. It was just too realistic, like I mentioned in my things like that happen in our real world, and I just don't like reading about certain things when reading because reading is an escape for me, and having it be so real is tough for me to read about. It was a good book though. I liked how the story played out. I really did like the character, like the protagonist, Amira. She was strong and she didn't take shit from anyone. And I have to say, like, it didn't appear like any of the characters had any malicious intent towards Amira. Like, her boss was blinded, literally. Like, she blinded herself about the reality in many ways, and she made the story in her narrative, and she did what she wanted, what she thought was right, without thinking about what anyone else felt or what anyone else wanted. And it was really selfish, but I don't think she knew she was being selfish. And I feel bad for people like that, because when you're so blinded by what you feel that you cannot respect what other people want or other people feel, it's just sad. The book, I liked how it ended though. I like that Amira found herself, like she found who she wanted to be in a way. She was, and it wasn't that like by the end her life was perfect. No, like real life, her life is a work in progress. Even at the end, she didn't know exactly what she wanted to do. She worked as a assistant for some big shot, and when she was called in to ask what the next step will be, she's like, no, I'm happy here right now. Like, she is not the usual person who has big dreams and big goals that she wants to achieve, but she's a person who's learning and who's growing, and that's reality. Most people grow even late into their 20s and 30s. It's fine, and this book kind of addresses that too. While I did like the book, I wouldn't say I would read it again or read something like it again, because again, like I mentioned, it's too realistic, too much about the real world and about real life issues. I do like reading about certain real life issues in books, but when it's written in a completely fictitious manner, that is something I enjoy reading about. But when it's just too close to what's happening right now, it's hard for me to process. Like when I'm reading something like Kingdom of Ash, a lot of shit that happens there has real life undertones, but it's at the end of the day a work of fiction. And this one, while it felt like it could be happening in the real world too, like I didn't feel like I could escape into the world, if you know what I mean. I did like that at the end of the book she doesn't end up with the guy. Like, while the guy wasn't a bad guy, or he was fine, like, but she knew that that wasn't meant to be, and she stood by it. And that's another thing I liked about it. It was different from other books where at the end of the book, when something happens, they realize they're meant to be with each other. That's how most contemporaries work. Things end up perfect, and I love that. I love contemporaries for that reason. But I feel like with this book's tone and with what this book was, it helped to have it not be that. Anyway, so that's it about my thoughts about the book. And today, it's about 6 o'clock. It's almost 7 o'clock right now. And I'm going to be starting to study for the GRE today. So I won't actually get to read 10 Things I Hate About Pinky until later tonight. But I'm hoping I'll get to read at least half of that book. I feel like I'm just gonna sit down and then not put it down until it's done and go to bed at like 4 a.m. like I've been doing every day this week. But that's fine, it's just 1 week and I've missed reading a lot. Hey guys! So I've been reading 10 Things I Hate About Pinky. I haven't gotten too much into it yet. So I've enjoyed this book so far and I think I'm gonna like it. I like Sandhya Menon's work, so and it feels a lot like When Dimple Met Rishi, but a different story, of course. I am really enjoying Pinky's character. She is wild. She takes risks, and she isn't conventional, which I love. And I love the little tidbits of information that comes into the story that I am familiar with. So in chapter 2, when Pinky is wearing a swimsuit that has the word Kali on it, she kind of mentions the story behind the goddess. I am familiar with a different version of that story. This was the first time I'd even heard of that version. So the version I know is that so what I'm familiar with is that goddess Kali is another form of Parvati who is married to Shiv. In this book, she's talking about how Kali dances on Shiv, and that's not the story I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with a lot darker version of it. So in that story, another form of Kali, Durga, had just defeated Mahishasur, which is a demon, and after killing him, she couldn't stop killing, so she went on a rampage and kills so many men, and she's literally, in each hand she has one head, and all of a sudden Shiv lays down on the ground and she steps on him, which she realizes that it's her husband, and she's in shock, which is why in the idol her tongue is out and she looks shocked and she is horrified she did that. And that's the version of the story I know, but it's interesting to hear some things that I'm familiar with from a different point of view. Anyway, so I've been enjoying this book, and I'm hoping I get done with it by sometime tomorrow, which I'll have to because it's the last day of the reading rush. And yeah, anyways, that's it for today, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.